Or let me put it this way. The Word, which is God, Jesus, was the raw material used to create everything. So if Jesus is the raw material that was used to create everything, then that means in everything you see, there is an atom of Jesus in it. I'll say it again. In everything you see, there is an atom of Jesus in it. And then when I began to go further, I actually discovered that everything you see in the world today is to show you one of these two things. One, everything you see in this world today is a reflection of one, either the nature of God or the response of believers to God. I'll say it again. Everything you see around us today reflects, one, the nature of God, or two, the response of man to God. Or sometimes it can even be the combination of both of them. Do you get what I'm saying? So now, for example, before, growing up, we were made to believe that snakes are demonic. So when you see snake, the next thing that comes to your mind is what? Is a demon. It says, because why? It was through a snake that the devil deceived Eve. But do you know that the snake is also a typology of Jesus? Oh, Jesus said, as the snake will be lifted up, was lifted up during the days of Eve, during the days of Moses, that as men look at the snake, they live. So also will the Son of Man be lifted up. You know, one of these days, we are going to look at the nature of the snake and how we can learn as believers from the snake. Because the snake is one of God's powerful mode of teaching we believers salvation. Let me show you one. The snake is the symbol of death. Is that not so? But the same snake, out of that same snake, is the antidote for the death that it brings. Is that so? Then now, sin brings forth what? Death. Jesus, the Bible said Jesus, who knew no sin, became sin. Just the same way the snake, that is a symbol of death, out of that same snake came out the salvation for the same death, venom that it brings forth. That is the same way Jesus, who is Jesus, became sin, so that out of him he can bring forth salvation to us. Do you see the nature of Christ now? In that same thing you call demonic. Let me show you another one. To the other side. When we hear bats, what comes to our mind immediately? Demonic. When you see a bat fly over your house in the night, the next thing you shout is what? Jesus, they have come. But do you know, as I began to look at it, I discovered that the bat is actually a message from God to us as believers. Oh. The bat moves majorly by hearing what's something called echolocation. Is that so? The bat moves by, it tries to send forth a kind of sound wave, and through that sound wave, it can detect where to go. Even that is why, even in the middle of the night, bats can move through anywhere without hitting anything. That is a message to believers. The Bible said, for we walk, W-A-L-K, by, not by. How does faith come? What do you hear? word? A sound. So that thing you call demonic is actually another way of God teaching you how you are meant to live and move with God. That as a believer, just like the bat, we cannot see in the night, but cannot miss his way because he moves by what he hears. It's the same way in this dark age. As a believer, you are also meant to move by what you hear, the word. So when everything looks cloudy and everything looks as if it's not working, all I need to do is to hear what God is saying. And on the instrument of that, I move.